Hi there everybody, Morgan with Event Answer here, and today I want to share with you how I put together this adorable llama and cactus party. I have a couple of easy projects that will help with this setup, and I've included in the description box below a link to my printables, which includes the llama, the cacti, and the sunglasses, all which can be used in a multitude of ways to decorate. For instance, these sunglasses can be put on the table as decorations, or you could put a glue dot on the back and play pin the tail on the donkey, but instead of that, it's put the shades on the llama. So follow along and I'll show you how I put together this awesome party. The first thing I did was have the llama poster printed at my local print shop, and this is just a large format print on regular matte paper, and then I'm going to apply some spray mount to the back, and this should just be a nice light coat of glue on the back. If you see clumping or big sections of glue on the back, it means you're putting it on too heavy or your nozzle is getting clogged with glue. So just a nice light dusting, and then I'm going to pick up the craft paper that's underneath of it to catch all that overspray and fold that to the side. And then I pulled out my piece of foam core. Now this is a large standard piece of foam core that you should be able to find at your local craft store. And I'm just going to apply that first edge square to the bottom of the piece of foam core, gently rubbing it back and forth to apply it to the foam core. Now I am keeping that other end up high because I don't want it to accidentally touch the foam core and glue itself down where I don't want it. And this will help prevent bubbles and wrinkles from forming as you glue it down. I then laid down my cutting mat and grabbed my X-Acto knife with a brand new blade in it, and I'm just going to loosely cut apart the llama from the bulk of the foam core and the sunglasses, and this will make it easier to cut out. Now I'm going to start by cutting out the llama, but everything I do to the llama I'm also going to do to the sunglasses as I cut that out. Now I'm going to go gently around the llama about a 1/4 inch from the actual printing, so I've got a little bit of white, and I'm just cutting that first layer of the foam core. If you don't go all the way through the foam core, it's easier to get some nice turns and cuts, and then go back with a second cut to cut the back side paper. This will just give you a much cleaner cut, because sometimes if you take it all at once, it can grab and make rough edges and cuts. So take your time, do multiple cuts, and you'll end up with a much better result. Once I have the llama cut out, I'm going to attach these command picture hanging strips to it, and they basically have command on one side and Velcro on the other, and what I'll do is just peel off the backing and stick this to my wood wall. And the nice thing about this is these come off really easily, and most venues will allow you to use command strips, but do check ahead of time before you go sticking anything to the wall. But I love this because if I need to, I can always pull this off and reposition it with those Velcro strips. The next project for this party is to make a set of garlands of really fluffy and full tassels that coordinate with the colors that are on the llama. And to do that, I'm going to start off with a piece of foam core or cardboard that's 10 inches long, and then it doesn't really matter how wide it is because we're not going to be measuring that side. So I've got that, a pair of scissors, and then my coordinating yarn colors. Now I do recommend getting all the same brand of yarn because yarns come in various weights, and you want to make sure that they're all the same weight of yarn. So then I'm just going to take my yarn and wrap it around the foam core 40 times, keeping a nice even tension, because if you have some that are tighter and some that are looser, they're going to be different lengths. So nice even tension, cut that end loose, and then I'm just going to slide my scissors in under the end and cut it all free. And then pick up that bunch of yarn and find the center point of those strands. Now I'm just going to lay them across my scissors here and kind of gauge and make sure I've got a halfway point, and then once I'm satisfied that I've got it close, I'll just cut those in half again. Out of that bunch of yarn, you want to pull 2 strings aside and lay one vertical in front of you. Then you're going to take your bunch of strings and lay it right across the center point on that one string, and then start to tie a knot. Just loosely do that and then pick it up and see if your strings are hanging level in that. Once I was satisfied that it was hanging pretty level, I then tightened that knot and completed it with a double knot. And then I'm just going to straighten out those strings by rubbing it a couple times and then holding it in place about 1 inch down from the top of the tassel. And with that second string that I had set aside, I'm just going to start a knot. I'm going to loop it over once and hold one end with my 2 fingers and then pull with my other hand, and then tie that off. And it's important that the tension here is pretty even amongst all your tassels, because you will be able to tell if you're tighter on some and looser on the others. But just clip that off, and then you can straighten out the tassels one more time, And then you'll see some are a little longer, some are a little shorter, and I just took a pair of scissors and kind of loosely rounded off the bottom so they were generally the right length. And then this tassel is ready to be set aside and attached to the garland. Now I ended up making 4 of each color for my garlands, and that gave me 2 5-foot garlands for my setup. Now I'm just going to take a bit of yellow yarn, and you can use any string you like to attach your tassels to. And I'm going to give 12 inches on the end here and then tie my first tassel to it with just a simple double knot, making sure it's really tight to that string so it doesn't fall down the yarn when you go to hang it. And then just clip those 2 end strings. So I'm going to set that aside and put the next tassel 6 inches apart and continue doing this all the way down the line until I've repeated my color pattern twice, which means I've got 10 tassels on my string. Now you can make yours any length. The more tassels, the longer it'll be. So just do whatever suits the length that you need for your party setup. I crisscrossed my 2 garlands on the backdrop, and I attached those by just taping them to the back side of the wood wall and to my backdrop frame, and this gives me an easy way to hang them and easy way to pull them down. And then I'm going to go along and even out the tassels right there in the center where they overlap before bringing in my balloon cactus. I'll be decorating the cake table with these Llama and Cactus printables. Now these are all 6 inches tall, and I'll be cutting them out and using them as a garland as well as cake toppers. Now I printed these on my home printer on 8.5 by 11 sheets of cardstock, and that'll give them a nice rigid feel and they'll stand up really nicely. I also have a sheet of little llama and cacti, which will make great cupcake toppers. So I'm going to cut all these sheets out using a pair of scissors, and just like I did with the llama, leave a little bit of white along the edges because I like that look, but if you want, you can always cut along the edge of the color so it's a nice seamless look. To make up the garland that's going to go across the front of the table, I'm going to cut out 1 sheet of each of the cactus and 1 sheet of llama for that, and then I'm going to cut out another set for the cake topper and the rest of the table decorations. So this is 1 set of each of those pages, and I'm just going to take a hole punch, and about a 1/2 inch down from the top I'm going to make 1 tiny hole on each side, and this will allow me to string these all together into the garland. Now this is a super tiny hole punch, and I recommend getting the tiniest one you can find, and that way you have more design and less hole shining through on your garland. So I'm just going to repeat this for all of the cacti and the llamas that I'm going to be stringing together, and you do want to make sure that you're putting those holes pretty evenly across all of the cacti and the llamas so that they hang evenly on the string. I've gathered up 4 of each design, and I'm just going to set those aside so I can get my string ready. Now this is crochet thread in a cream color, and I'm using this because it'll disappear really nicely and it fits through these tiny holes. So you're going to go through the front of your design and then pull that through and string across the back of your design. You don't want this string coming across the front of your design because you're going to see it more. This is a very unobtrusive way to hang it. So you're going to go back through that hole from the back side and then flip it back over and keep going with the next one. Now you do want to think about the pattern that you want to hang these in. You could do llama, cactus, llama, or you could do cactus, cactus, llama, so you get each of those in between. It's up to you. Just think that through as you're putting these together and make sure you're being consistent with the pattern that you're using. Now I did not tape the llamas and cactus to the string because there was enough tension with the tiny hole on the string that I didn't feel that was necessary, but if yours are sliding around on the string, do feel free to take some tape or a little bit of glue and attach them to the back side. Now I'm just taping the ends of the string to the edge of my tablecloth here on both sides, and then I'm going to find the center point of my string and pull that up and attach it to the center of the table, also using a little bit of tape. This doesn't weigh very much, so you don't need a really strong fastening method. And then I'm just going to even them out on the string, and they're ready to go. Just like the garland, I've cut out an assortment of cacti and llamas that I'm going to use for cake toppers. So I've attached a bamboo skewer to the back side of each of these using a little bit of tape, or you could use some hot glue. And this is going to give me a nice way to anchor these into the cake. And I'm going to repeat the same thing, only in a miniature scale for the cupcake toppers. So I've taken those bamboo skewers and cut them down to about 3 inches and attached them to the back side as well. Now you could use some large toothpicks or cocktail sticks, that would also work. hope you found today's project inspirational and give this a try. It's such a cute look and can be used for lots of different kinds of parties. If you enjoyed today's project, give this video a like. It lets me know that you've enjoyed this project. And if you'd like to give this a try, check out the description box below for the Printables links, as well as a link to the balloon cactus how-to video and the wood wall if you'd like to make this entire look for your own party. So until the next video, I'll see you later.